You cannot sit still without feeling like you're doing something wrong. You finish your work, the house is quiet, there is nothing left to do, and instead of peace, a strange guilt creeps in. You get up. You find a task. Any task. Because stopping feels like failure. If this sounds like you, Carl Jung had an answer for it, and it isn't about laziness. It's about a part of your mind you were taught to silence a long time ago. Jung spent much of his career studying what he called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we push out of sight because they were unwelcome somewhere along the way. Most people think the shadow is made of anger, jealousy, or desire. But Jung was clear that the shadow can also swallow gentler things. Rest. Softness. The simple right to do nothing. If a child learns early that stillness gets punished, with criticism, with guilt, with the message that their worth depends on output, that child's capacity to rest doesn't disappear. It goes underground. And it starts running the show from there. Today we'll look at how this happens, what it costs you, and the one shift Jung believed could bring it back into the light. The first place this shows up is in your body before it shows up in your thoughts. You sit down to relax and your leg starts bouncing. Your mind starts drafting a to-do list you didn't ask for. This isn't restlessness. It's a trained alarm system. Somewhere, rest got wired to danger, maybe a parent who only noticed you when you were achieving, maybe a house where idle hands meant trouble was coming. Your nervous system learned the lesson well. Now, decades later, the threat is gone, but the alarm still fires every time you try to stop. The second sign is more painful, because it hides inside your language. Listen to how you talk about downtime. I should be doing something. I don't deserve a break yet. Notice the word deserve. Rest has quietly become something you earn, like a wage, instead of something you're simply allowed. Jung would say this is the shadow speaking in disguise, an old inner voice, absorbed from someone else, that you now mistake for your own judgment. You didn't invent this rule. You inherited it. And most people never stop to ask who wrote it. Here's where it gets stranger. The people who push themselves hardest are often praised for it. Productivity gets applauded. Busyness looks like virtue. So the shadow doesn't just stay hidden, it gets rewarded, which makes it almost impossible to question. Why would you interrogate a habit that keeps earning you compliments? This is the open loop worth sitting with for a moment. The very thing that looks like your greatest strength may be the clearest evidence of what you're avoiding. We'll come back to why that matters more than it sounds. The third pattern shows up in your relationships. You struggle to watch other people rest, too. A partner lying on the couch on a Sunday afternoon irritates you in a way you can't fully explain. A coworker who leaves exactly on time gets a flicker of your judgment before you can stop it. Jung noticed this exact mechanism. What disturbs you in someone else is often the very thing you refuse to allow in yourself. Their ease is a mirror. It reflects the permission you never gave yourself, and something in you resents the reflection. The fourth pattern is quieter but heavier. You feel fine while you're busy, and empty the moment you're not. This is a warning sign Jung took seriously. When your entire sense of worth depends on constant motion, you're not living from a stable identity. You're running from an absence. The busyness isn't building something. It's covering something. And the moment the noise stops, whatever it was covering has room to surface. So why does any of this matter? Because an unexamined shadow doesn't stay quiet forever. Jung's central warning was this: what you don't bring into awareness doesn't vanish, it directs your life from the dark, and eventually it demands to be paid. For guilt around rest, that payment usually shows up as the body breaking down when the mind refuses to slow down on its own. Exhaustion that no vacation seems to fix. Irritability that has no clear cause. A sense of being alive but never quite present. The shadow gets its stillness one way or another. The only choice you have is whether you give it consciously, or whether illness and burnout take it from you by force. Now, back to that open loop. Why is your greatest strength often your clearest blind spot? Because the qualities that earn you the most praise are frequently the ones costing you the most in private. Discipline that never rests isn't discipline anymore, it's avoidance wearing a productive mask. And because it's praised, no one around you, including you, ever thinks to question it. The applause becomes the disguise. Here is the reveal Jung would want you to sit with. He didn't believe the goal was to eliminate the shadow, or to become endlessly restful and drop all ambition. He believed the goal was integration, bringing the disowned part into conscious relationship with the rest of you, instead of letting it run in secret. For you, that doesn't mean forcing yourself to be lazy. It means catching the moment guilt arrives when you sit down, and asking a simple question instead of obeying it: whose voice is this, and is it actually mine? That single pause, noticing the guilt instead of automatically acting on it, is the beginning of taking the will back from a program you never consciously agreed to run. Most people go their whole lives reacting to that inner alarm. Very few ever stop to ask where it came from. You don't fix this by trying harder to relax, that just turns rest into another task to perform. You fix it by getting curious about the guilt itself, the next time it shows up, uninvited, the moment you finally sit still. Jung believed awareness alone, simply naming what's running you, starts to loosen its grip. If this made you think of a specific memory, a parent's voice, a moment where rest first started to feel dangerous, write it in the comments. And if you want to understand the flip side of this pattern, the people who orbit you but secretly resent your ease, the next video breaks down the signs someone close to you is hiding exactly that.